Good evening, everyone. On behalf of MFC, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. And I am Prakhar, and I'm your host for today's talk session. Now, without wasting any time, I'd like to introduce our guest for the evening, the one-man army, Dhruv Vyas, also known as Sincerely Dhruv. So, before starting, I'd like to give a short introduction about Dhruv. Dhruv is an independent filmmaker, and initially he was an engineering student. Later, he decided to follow his passion for filmmaking, and his work spans over directing, writing, editing, visual effects, music composition. He does everything by himself. His debut feature film, Deaf to Happiness, has been recognized as a very interesting experimental film and has also received awards at the Experimental Film and Music Video Festival in Toronto. So, Dhruv, welcome aboard. We are very glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for that intro. It was a surprise. You did your research, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The engineering
Also,
part surprised
congratulations.
me.
Very hearty congratulations. I think you have
Yeah.
just released another short film,
Yeah.
Clichés within, right?
Yeah, Chrysalis within it's a heavily experimental work that I wrote, shot, and edited in like 3 days in Pune. So
All
yeah.
right. Apart from that, there's something which I noticed, अभी जब मैं आप पे research कर रहा था.
Hmm.
So you always say that no AI used in films.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now a very common question which many beginner filmmakers have is that
Yeah.
they don't have a mentor.
Hmm.
So what if they are using AI in research, guidance, or learning? So how do you see that? मतलब आपको आपके POV से कैसा है वो?
Okay, so here's the thing. Like what I believe AI at the end of the day is it's delegation. Okay. What you can learn from books, what you can learn from individual articles, what you can learn from individual videos made by filmmakers, or what you can learn from literally going through behind the scenes content of like big filmmakers and directors. AI basically condenses that and does all that work for you. I think it's shit. Why? Because and I am bold about that. I'm not going to like sugarcoat that, but here's the reason. You are not developing your creative critical thinking. Why? Because see, here's the thing. If I take a book, let's see, this is the book that I'm currently reading, First Things First. If I just read a summary of this, what it's going to strip down is the author's personal experience. It's going to completely strip down all of that. Okay. And because obviously, what AI and anything we use, any kind of tool that basically delegates thinking for us, it basically is a fast food kind of approach to thinking. Okay. Like before AI, there were beginner filmmakers. Before AI was made. Before AI, so many breakout filmmakers had their breakout successes after like 5, 10, 20 films. How did they do it? How did they got the knowledge? And it's not just because like a lot of people had like film school mentors or film school or they were in film school or whatever. No, there have been lots of people who were outside of this ecosystem and then they broke in. The best example is Citizen Kane. That's why it's like appreciated in film school. Orson
You're right.
Welles did not know anything, dude. He had no clue about what is anything. He made it all up on the go and he read books and he saw filmmakers and he did his best to get the knowledge as first hand as possible. By reading books, we already get information secondhand. We already get wisdom secondhand. But if you put AI into it, we get third hand information, which is like fast food, greasy, oily information. If you think about it, it does the job. It gives you the calories, but are those calories good? That's the thing. And that's why like I still have so many books. Like I got like before like my freelancing business that helped me like fund my projects. Before all this, I would buy secondhand books and I would like look through the behind the scenes bloopers kind of content of like filmmakers and stuff, and then I will try to reverse engineer by myself. It doesn't matter like if filmmakers reveal their secrets or not, but if you really sit with a work, you can start to reverse engineer stuff in your own mind. And what it will do is, which is better than AI, you will start to develop your own methods to solutions that already exist. And
Yeah.
then once you develop your own methods, you become unique. Once you become unique, you can sell that. You can sell that to an audience, or you can sell that commercially to brands and people because they want originality. That's why AI is not being used that like in a crazy way. It's only being used to fasten the process and to basically give you the fast food content that most people crave. So yeah, that's like pretty much my stance on it, and I'm like not shy about it. It's like in my profile, it's in my videos, it's everywhere, dude, because I made the
No,
movie alone you know
no, no. नहीं, वो काफी सही है. I totally agree with you.
yeah.
And yeah, whatever you said, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, अगर आप सारे personal experiences हटा दोगे, तो आपको ये भी देखने को नहीं मिलेगा कि उन लोगों ने शायद क्या गलतियां की.
Also, bro, like speak in English, because I don't know if like everyone is comfortable with Hindi. I think English would be best. Yeah.
Okay,
Continue.
yeah. So as I was saying, I completely agree with you. I feel if we strip down all the experiences that people are gaining, I mean, let's say if I'm reading a book, so of course if I'm putting that into AI, I'm going to omit all the experience that the author has shared. So I totally agree on that point. Okay, moving on. There's another question which popped up in my mind when I was analyzing your film Chrysalis Within, and that is that you have completely reduced the amount of dialogue based storytelling and
Yeah.
increased the visual storytelling.
Yeah.
So how to do that? Because as a beginner filmmaker, there are many people who rather prefer to rely on dialogues. I mean, they find it very difficult to communicate the message that they are really trying to communicate without the dialogues. So
Okay.
how do you do that?
Okay, so here's the thing. This is kind of secret that why I do that. It's because I don't have a sound guy. Okay, and I don't want mics to be shown in frame. Like, I don't want my movies or short films to feel like content. So what I do is, when I'm writing anything, when I'm writing a character or anything, I just write their actions. That's it. What actions they will perform. Okay, instead of writing what they say, I will write what actions they will perform, because honestly, that's more believable than dialogues, because dialogues are really hard to nail. Because dialogues are basically what? People trying to withhold something, but they are forced to say it. Okay, wait. Yeah, but they are forced to say it. Every single dialogue in like really good films, it's basically a tension game between two characters or even a character with itself. And the tension game is that, which is you are withholding information and someone is forcing you to say it. This is a core element which I believe most dialogues don't use anymore. Only in older films this is shown. And I don't have the skills to write dialogue like that. I try, but when I'm on the paper, when I'm writing it, I literally cringe out myself. If I'm cringing out, then how will I expect audience to not cringe out from the dialogue?
Okay, so have you ever felt stuck? Let's say that okay, I completely agree with your point that this is something like it's like a constraint. You don't want to get into the details of sound. You don't want to show mics. And again, you were saying that you're not very comfortable with writing dialogues. So have you felt stuck? Let's say that you are writing a movie, you are in the middle of ideation process, and you're writing a scene where you feel it might not work out without a dialogue. ऐसा कभी हुआ है? Like
Yeah, it has happened countless times. It has happened with me, where I really want to say something through dialogues, but I'm not able to. Especially with the film Chrysalis Within, I wanted to. I really wanted to. But then what I felt was, like, you have to also look at the overarching plot, or the lack of a plot in like experimental way, but whatever it is, in the overarching way. So if you look at it in an overarching way, you would need to compromise a little bit, in my opinion. So it's like kill your darlings kind of thing. You have a really good dialogue idea in your head that the audience will go crazy, but if you cannot find a way to execute it decently and believably, and the actor or actress you feel like is not able to deliver that properly, then you will have to like adapt, and you have to find a different way to convey the same thing, the best way you can. Because like if there is one thing which doesn't feel like in place of a big puzzle, then it would like mess up the whole puzzle in a way, because then you wouldn't be able to see the whole puzzle. You would only see that one small mistake. So yeah, that's like my thinking behind it. But then I'm working on more projects with like more heavy dialogue and stuff, so yeah, we'll see.
So do you wish to work on any such project where you're gonna finally include dialogues?
I might. It depends on the collaborators. Like if I'm with someone, if I have found someone who's really good at like tonality and like carrying themselves and with all the different things, like a decent actor or good actor or even professional in a way, so then I'm not just might, I will do it, because I do read scripts of Breaking Bad, I do read scripts of like so many shows that I am inspired by, with like really good dialogue like Sopranos, and so many crazy pieces of television and film where dialogues were the key element, so yeah, that's
Right. So
yeah.
okay, now it makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
ठीक है.
Hmm.
I think you can start with your notes, and
Okay.
I'll be taking questions whenever I have a question. I will
Yeah,
put.
yeah, yeah. Just keep in mind, I will start rambling and I might not stop. I might even derail. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So, okay, guys. Ideation. This is something I deeply love. It is my most favorite part of a project, because I can get infinite ideas. I'm not even lying. It's like I have made up a small framework that works for me, and it has become automatic in my head. It doesn't matter where I am, what am I doing, I would just get ideas, and like crazy ideas, because I don't limit myself. And I don't think in genres, which is something I believe. It doesn't matter what kind of filmmaker you want to be or you are. I believe you should step back from genres at least once in a while. That will help you bring something original to the film world, which film world is lacking a lot in a lot of different ways. So wait, just a second. Yeah. So the one trick or one method that I have to ideate something that's like mystifying or that's like curious is like making 3 columns. Okay. The first column would be any kind of entity. It doesn't matter what that entity is. It could be in nature, it could be an urban place, it could be people. It doesn't matter. It's just an entity. Okay. So first column is entity. There are no rules. Again, I'm repeating, there are no rules what you put in entity. You can even put like Prakhar has posters of movies behind him. So you can even put film posters as entity. Okay. Anything, non-living, living, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. That will be the first column. Now the second column would be adjectives or traits. Okay. Now these adjective or traits could be anything, but they should signify one person in one word. It doesn't matter who that person is, their like gender, their background, whatever. No, just one word. That's it. So example, first entity would be, for example, time. Okay. In the second column, I will write writer. Okay. And then in the third column, I will try to write one sentence that has the characters, you can say motive, but not exactly clear motive, because it would be just one sentence, but motive in a very small way, and what the character is struggling with. Written in any format you want. There are no rules, but just something that helps you like understand what this character and this entity have in common or not in common. Any kind of relationship, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship. Okay, so in my example, first column would be entity. This will be time. In the second column, it will be traits, or it will be anything about a person. I will write writer. Now time. Now I will, in the third column, I will write one sentence, two sentence, which will be a writer is stuck in a world where time doesn't exist, which is the plot of my first feature film. Okay, so
Okay, so wait. So when you're putting the third column,
hmm.
is it like a context, or is it more like a conflict, or is it? It can be anything. It can be the
Anything, no rules. Mine,
no rule.
mine looks more refined because I went through a lot of iterations. You will also. It won't be exactly like this. That's why I'm saying there are no rules. So
Okay,
this could even be just like a scene. It doesn't
right.
matter. It could be a scene. It could be just a sound. You are describing a sound. It could be music even. It doesn't matter. What
That
matters
doesn't.
it? Yeah. What matters it? The relationship between the entity and the trait. And I'm saying
Right.
trait, not a character, because the trait could be part of anything. It could be part of a world. it could be part of a non-living thing, it could be part of literally anything. That's why I'm saying trait. And this is my experimental approach to like writing stories. Even for like Chrysalis Within, even for like my other stuff, that guy being friends with a tornado, this is the kind of process I followed in my mind. I don't write anymore. I used to, but this is what I follow in my mind. And what this helps is you are completely taken away from your real world for a second, which is what films do,
Right.
right? In this small page or in this small table, you are literally thinking of ways to combine things that might have never been combined before, and the rules are not like where you just do one thing to one thing. No, you can do like three entities to one thing or three traits to one thing, one entity, and you could go very crazy with it. This is like infinite idea generator.
Okay, so I have a question. When you're doing this, have you already decided the motive of the story or the direction of the story,
No,
or this is something which is done before deciding the direction and the motive of the story that you're planning?
before everything. And I mean, the
Before
thing
everything.
is, like, for me, it doesn't matter at what place this goes because I do it all the time. Even if I'm editing a project, even if I'm shooting a project, I will do it on place in real time with the elements that I already have. If I see a prop, I will think of it as an entity. And if I see a character, I will think of it as a character and I will try to combine it in scene in real time. Which what which basically helps you like go in a really crazy place in your mind. You like instead of thinking of a blank page, instead of thinking of a dialogue, instead of thinking of like visuals, audio, music, you literally kind of step outside of this world, and then you like look at the world from like a wider angle, like, and then all of the things that come later, all the filmmaking stuff, all the technical stuff, all the direction stuff, whatever, all those stuff just starts to feel more aligned because you have a compass and you have a north pointing direction. It might not be accurate all the time, but you have something with that idea. So this is like basically one of the core things in my work right now. And what I'm
Right.
also trying to do, I will connect it with like the other stuff that I will talk about, but this process kind of loosens you. Instead of being stiff, you become very loose and you start to become like this person who just accepts anything that comes along the way. If like an actor, if you're directing something and an actor is not able to pull off something that you are envisioning very clear in your mind, you wouldn't like immediately judge or immediately become hatred or whatever. You wouldn't become negative. What you would start to do is you would start to think of a new entity, or you would start to take any elements from your story that you have already written and you take that as an entity and then try to combine it in real time on that location.
Right.
No, so yeah.
Okay, so one thing which popped up in my mind was that is the fact that this process is something which you have followed. I think you've been doing it since quite some time
Yeah.
now. This process might be a bit chaotic and overwhelming for many people,
Yes.
because what my understanding of this process is that it's going to give you lot and lots of permutation and combinations,
Yes.
and it's going to have crazy number of outcomes.
Yes. And you will lose
Because
yourself.
yeah, exactly. So let's say some person A, person B, or let's say I myself, I'm trying to use this process. So what can I do to not make it chaotic? What can I do to avoid the chaos and the confusion that it might create?
Love at first sight. Okay. Yeah. What will happen is once you are doing it, like you would start to kind of make a hierarchy of stuff. Okay, in your mind. If you're an analytical person, you will start to make an hierarchy of mind. If you're an emotional and kind of like a more of an empathetic person, you will start to see people's reaction with it. It doesn't matter where you are in this spectrum, you will come across a point where you will start to feel warmth towards at least one thing. It won't be crazy, but it doesn't need to be crazy. It just needs to get you started. Okay. But if you keep doing it while you're already executing this thing, without executing that completely and you started doing it again, then it becomes a little bit of a problem. Okay, for me, I have kind of found a balance where I can keep myself accountable, that whatever, no matter what, I need to keep taking action. I cannot stay in my head. Okay, if I see myself juggling multiple different ideas, I will just take one randomly and then just follow it through. If it's shit, then I'll do the next one. But I will follow through.
Right. What I feel is that a few filmmakers will follow their instincts. They'll follow their gut
Yeah.
feeling when it comes to this process. And a few people who are very analytical in nature, who are, strictly the ones who follow an ideation process, a design mentality, they might actually make an hierarchy and then try to come up with what's best for the story.
Yeah, definitely.
Is how I see it.
But yeah, exactly. This will happen. It is kind of like a devil's deal kind of thing. This will take you down a spiral. It doesn't matter where you are, but it will also set you free. Because a lot of times the worst thing is to just stare at a blank piece of paper. Okay.
Right.
The blank piece of paper is something that will make you depressed, sad, anxious, and everything. But if you do get ideas, and if you try to follow just one idea and it's shit, it's okay. You start to build resiliency against your own
Right.
ideas, and you start to feel detached about your ideas. You don't put too much, like you can say, love for one idea and then make it your own baby. No, you just think of the idea as just an idea, as just one tool, and you can think of more tools. So you don't attach your self-worth to it, which is
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel one big problem with small filmmakers, in fact, I don't know if I should say this, big filmmakers, is that they get way too emotionally attached to the project they're
That's
working
the
on.
problem, dude.
And specifically in this age, like I'm a student, I'm doing my masters. However, I'm doing my masters in design, so it's not that big of a problem. But mostly people of our age, we are trying to juggle between filmmaking and doing whatever we are doing. So the amount of time we have is very, very less. So again, we are doing everything within that short time and we are getting attached to that project. Now let's say I have a footage that is not working. When I sit to edit it, now I feel shit, man. This footage is not what I wanted. But I have spent 10 hours shooting this. I have to take it in,
Yeah.
and that is where the problem starts.
Yeah,
Because we
exactly.
start compromising slowly and slowly.
Yeah, and then the only solution is, dude, if it's shitty, but if that's what you have to make do, right? We have to get into the mentality of make do also. If we cannot shoot it again, but if we can shoot it again, if we can take a break for, let's say, 1 month, like for Chrysalis within, I took like 3 months of break because I couldn't get my head into the project. So I just decided, why try? There's no point in trying. It's just an idea. It's just something I shot. It doesn't need to be like a very glamorous or like the next big project that will like change my life. No, it's just one project. If it fails, if it does good, it doesn't matter. I did it and that's it. That helps. And this mentality is very crucial now, dude, because we all are constantly making stuff. It doesn't matter who we are or at what stage we are, or even like what kind of art we make. We are making lots of stuff. And then the other spectrum is people making nothing at all and just consuming. So what we need to do is we make stuff, but we don't value it to the point that it drives us crazy and it stops us from making something new. Like any filmmaker that you look at who had a breakout, they did not know they are going to have a breakout.
Right.
They did not know this project is going to be the one that's going to like go crazy. Obsession Kari Barker constantly thought to himself that this is going to be shit, but it went insane. So this is the thing, dude. We literally are in the field where luck is real.
No, I think it happens to me all the time when I'm like almost on the verge of completing a project. There is this one moment, one brief moment where I feel like, क्या बना दिया है?
Yeah.
Whatever. And even this time when I was editing the last film, I remember I told my co-editor, I'm like, I don't know, I feel
It's
like we are
shit.
going in a very wrong direction.
Yeah.
We are going in a very wrong direction, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know, this is not working. So this happens every time. Okay, so back to the ideation process. Once you're done, you talked about the table. You mentioned the table that you're talking about. What happens after that?
So after that, whatever you want. Okay, I am more of a visual guy. I'm not a script guy, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I do write scripts. I do write screenwriting. I like properly follow the format and all that. I do that too. but that's not my primary method. What
Okay.
I instantly get after an idea that I feel like really love for, at least a little bit love for, I will start to get visuals in my head. I'm a visualizing person. I'll start to
Okay.
get like exact shots. I'll start to get like exact, you can say, even camera movements and lots of different things in my head. A lot of people are not like that. Some people need,
Okay.
yeah.
So you also have, I think you have your background with conceptual photography, right? I think you started with
Yes.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
before
Yes.
filmmaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, when you are writing a script, do you already visualize the VFX shots, or do they evolve during production?
Okay, VFX is something you need to have on pre-production. Okay, because
Okay.
the thing is, you need to like. This is my belief. Again, everyone would be different, but see, if you can imagine VFX CGI stuff in pre-production itself, you will be able to direct yourself and any collaborators that will be working with you better, because you already
Okay.
know what's happening. You already know what it's going to
Mm.
look like. If you already know
Mm.
what it's going to look like, if you already have the description, if you already have even a slight inkling of what it's going to be, it doesn't need to be perfect, but slight inkling, that is enough, because then it makes you a better communicator. If you have
Okay.
more information, it helps you become a better communicator to an extent that people can understand.
Right. Okay. So do you do storyboards? Because you said that you're a very visual guy.
Yes.
So
Yes.
do you
Yeah, this
and
is,
do you have a method for that?
yeah, this is
Like,
what, this is my storyboard. This is the tornado storyboard.
okay, okay, got it.
Yeah, I have shit drawing skills, but then this just helps me. Basically, in my storyboards, my focus is what's the relationship between two opposing
And
entities.
yeah, right.
That's it. So
No, this is something which even I have mentioned, and I've noticed around my classmates or the people I'm working with. A lot of people say that we don't do storyboards because we are very shit at drawing. And I feel storyboard is not about drawing; it's about how you
no,
visualize.
no,
It's about how you
bro.
visualize the
Exactly,
entire
dude.
scene.
Like if I showed you my story, like, dude, what is this? What is this? Like, literally, what is this?
Yeah, I know.
I literally described how it would look here, but then I couldn't draw it, so I described it here. But then I draw the shot, at least very simple, like center shot, which I did not execute it because I thought it was shit. So I changed it to like low angle, but still, like this just helps. And then like if I did actually made like proper storyboards for a short film which I couldn't basically proceed with, and I can show you that if you guys want, if you want to see that.
VFX is something that you think about while writing in pre-production, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So if I am there, this thought that the VFX could manipulate the scene and the writing would immediately come to me. For example, what I'm trying to say is that let's say आपने VFX imagine कर रखे, you have imagined the kind of VFX that you want in the story. Do you think that it can save a weak scene? Do you think that if you're putting if you're imagining very good amount of VFX in that scene, do you think that VFX is manipulating the writing of the scene? As in the writing is not that good, but the VFX that you have thought is very nice. So it overall balances the scene. Do you think that happens?
Okay, so my approach to VFX is poetic. What
Okay.
I don't add like good visuals just for the sake of good visuals. I add it because there is like a poetic element attached to it. Meaning there is a relationship between the VFX and the character.
Okay.
There's always a relationship between. It's not just like electrical effects or that. No, there's always going to be a relationship. It doesn't matter what. So in my tornado short film, the tornado was the VFX and CGI. Like it was pure
Right.
CGI enhanced with VFX a little bit, but then it was CGI, and it had
Right.
concrete relationship with my character, and there was no like nothing else. It was just that VFX thing, and yeah.
Okay, so what I can understand is that by the like the way you are doing it, the way you are executing it, it is only amplifying the strength of the character, right?
Yes,
Because it has a
exactly.
direct correlation.
Yes,
Yeah,
it shows something about the character. It's not there as a visual spectacle, it shows us something about the character. So, in my main feature film, Death to Happiness, there is like this field of nothingness, which is like
yeah, right,
constantly present in the movie. That
right,
shows the mental state of that character, that signifies the mental
right.
state of character, and that evolves with time. Which,
Okay, now I feel why VFX, why thinking about VFX in the pre-production really works for you is, as you mentioned, it's something which is very, very poetic.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
think that is why it works so well.
Yes, exactly.
Because since it's poetic, and it's not something which is there for the sake of being there.
Yeah.
Right. It's not something which is gimmicky. Let's
No,
say
no.
it's basically not a gimmick, right? That's why it's working out
No,
well.
so it's not gimmick, and that's like my approach to it. Everyone else has different approach. It's completely okay, and my approach might also change. Who knows? But then this is like my core part of my being. I like poems, visual
Yeah,
poems.
but again, I feel if as you said that I am including VFX in pre-production, if someone is following that advice, then only they should do it if that VFX has some
Value.
correlation to the story. Yeah, value.
Yes.
Otherwise, hota kya, what happens is that a lot of people may feel that okay, yeah, we should think about VFX in the pre-production. But again, if you're not treating VFX as an entity, which is again poetic or adding any value to the story, then it actually won't work out.
Yeah, it won't work out. But also, there's one more thing. If there is no value of VFX, if it's just gimmicky, even then you need planning to execute it properly. Okay, there's camera
Right.
movement, there's camera tracking, there's lots of technical stuff which needs to be thought of
Right.
before shooting, no matter what.
Right.
There's like clean plate
True.
stuff, there's like lots of things. That's why I believe it also helps if you're clear on that in pre-production, in scripting, or at least during shortlist. During
Right.
shortlist, right before you go and shoot something, if you have it in your mind, that just completely changes the trajectory of the production. It makes it easier. And you are not just
Yeah.
doing it, we'll fix it in post production. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. Okay,
I have this anxiety. I have
yeah.
this anxiety that I might forget one or two shots. So
Yeah.
I make sure that I have a very long short list.
Yeah, dude.
And yeah, because
Yes.
I have this anxiety that kuch na kuch to main bhul raha hu. I'm forgetting something all the time.
Yeah,
So I'm
dude.
like, I should definitely have a short list with me.
Short list is best. And now I will show you guys the basically storyboard of a project that no one has seen yet. Why? Because it went into development hell. Okay, so can
Okay.
you guys see?
Yeah.
Okay, so I drew
Right.
this with my graphic tablet that I got, and for this one, before this, I practiced my drawing really, really well, as much as I can. And this is basically a short film about a leaf who falls down from a leaf and is murdered by a human, and then it goes to heaven. Okay, a particular unique heaven, and this is all drawn by hand, by the way, using the graphic tablet. I
Okay.
did not use AI. I did not even use
Yeah.
any kind of visual stuff. This is all drawn. So
Okay.
this is how all the stuff that you see here, I thought of it while writing the script itself. All of this
Right.
stuff, literally all of this. And see, something that I couldn't draw, I literally just wrote this view of the
View
sky.
of the sky.
That's it.
Okay.
So this is what I'm talking about. Like in visuals in storyboard, if you can try to be better, definitely it helps, but it's not the, you can say, best thing needed. You can literally
Right.
just write, like you can just do this kind of things. It's good enough, dude. Like you don't need anything more than that. But what if you have zero interesting ideas? Okay.
Okay.
What if all your ideas, you are sitting, you are trying to think about your next project or even current project, and you think like, okay, this is already done. Why the fuck should I make it? Okay. So see, this is something that I struggled with a lot, which is interesting ideas. I believe there are no interesting ideas. There are just ideas. Okay.
Okay.
Even a very basic idea of, you can say, a guy not being able to get his daily newspaper, let's say. Very basic idea. This can be executed in a way that can literally wow the entire world.
Very true.
And the reason is, picking up a newspaper is something universal. Everyone can recognize that. It doesn't matter what background they have, what culture they are in. Picking up a newspaper and not being able to read that newspaper is something anyone can relate with. Even people who are like have never even read newspapers, they at least
Right.
know that their parents did or their grandparents did or whatever. So this is something inherent with a lot of people, right? But now here's the thing. This is not an interesting idea. This is, I would even say, a very basic idea. But what if you execute it combining, let's say, mixed media animation, anime, and even third, you can say game like graphics? What kind of visual would that be? It might not be approachable, but what if you try to make it more approachable? What if you make this thing and make the newspaper a human being
Right.
and the human a newspaper? you know, concept changed.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the ideas inherently don't have value.
Okay.
Ideas, how they are executed, they get value based on that. And that's why you cannot actually copyright ideas.
True.
Okay. Ideas are something that cannot be copyrighted. You cannot just copyright someone's idea. You can like stop someone from copying your work or copying your film or whatever by the way it was executed, but not the idea. Okay.
Right.
And this is what I want, and this is why I believe that any kind of ideation process, I'm not talking about mine, but any kind of ideation process that like takes you away from genres, from the things that you usually see, or it doesn't matter what, but if it takes you away from that place and puts you in a completely different world, a world that you know nothing about, it starts to become a place where you can gain really good ideas from, ideas that can be executed in any way, and
True.
they would still be decent. So this is kind of two thing approach. If you cannot like find good ideas, just execute something that's very basic but in a really crazy way. Or if you cannot execute something in a very crazy way, then step out of this world, go to a completely different world and make something downright absurd, surreal, crazy, whatever. Something that inherently might not make sense, but then you take the job to make it more approachable for audiences.
You know what happens when you're a beginner? You don't really have the conviction. As in the sense, when you're writing a story, what I've seen is a lot of people, they start a story, they don't finish it, and then they jump to another idea, thinking that this might not be executable. So have you ever faced that? Because I've seen
Constantly.
a lot of individuals, they have this idea, and they are halfway through the story, and then they feel, you know what, it's not executable. I should move to another idea which is more executable.
See,
So
here-
what is what is the definition of executable?
So see, here's the thing. Compromise. Okay. If there's an idea that you're passionate about, okay, if there's an idea that you really feel it in your heart that it needs to go out, and it needs to go out now, because ideas also travel. Someone else might do it before you. This is also kind of a real possibility. They might not execute it in the same way, but then still. And then there's also something that I have met people who constantly complain that I thought of that idea first, but that guy did it.
Yeah.
So
True.
Here's the thing. If you're passionate about something, you do whatever you can with whatever resources you have, compromising whatever you can,
Right.
get it out. You can get it out once, and if you have a breakout, you can remake it again. Whiplash was a short film first.
Yeah.
No one knew it was going to do well.
I actually wanted to ask, do you believe in re-executing ideas?
Yes,
As
I
in-
believe in.
Yeah.
I believe in, dude. Greats have done it. Not a lot of them, but a few of them, they have done it. They try to even do it now. They remake stuff
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So see, it's an industry-wide normal thing.
I feel even if no one has done it in the world, and if you feel it's something that is going to give you conviction, then you should do it.
Yes,
Even-
please do it.
I mean, you can be the first person to do it.
Exactly.
Like, make a short film. If you think that okay, I could have executed this in much better way, do it again.
Yeah, dude, exactly. So my first feature film, I made it completely alone. I loved that idea. I know that idea could be executed really well if it's done with a crew. The same idea with a slightly different script, but it can. But I did not stop myself like by all these thoughts that I don't have the whatever. I needed to execute it no matter what. Like,
Okay.
there was no other option in my head. I was like, I have to do it. If I have to learn music for it, I'll do it. If I have to learn like sound design for it, I'll do it. I did it. Because without conviction, why are we here? Just to suffer.
Okay. That is a very interesting approach. I mean, yeah, all these thoughts, they come to young filmmakers, and there is this thing, there's this lack of conviction because we are confused. I mean,
Yeah,
think
dude,
about
I
it.
get
If
it.
you have not, if you have not done anything before, let's say I have not made any movie before, and this is my first film, so I have this confusion and I have this lack of clarity that whatever I'm doing Is it right or is it wrong? And I feel that is the point where a lot of people they don't actually think about right and wrong, they just do it.
Yeah, dude, this is what separates basically, you can say, an amateur from a beginner. Okay.
Right.
Beginners, like, you have an idea. It could be shit. It doesn't matter. It's probably the shittiest idea you could have ever thought of. But if that idea gets you to execute and gets you to learn things that you wouldn't have otherwise, fucking do it. Doesn't matter if it only gets like 2 likes. Doesn't matter if you're like, even mom and dad are like, what the fuck is this shit you made? Doesn't matter, dude. If you can
I mean,
execute.
yeah, like the fear of failure is there, and it's very
Fear of
very evident.
failure. Yeah, dude. I get it.
Fear
Like,
of-
I struggled with my first feature film. The idea of making it alone was in and of itself the fucked up thing my mind came up. Okay. I
yeah, I
had
mean,
no money. I had no camera. I had no equipment. I was going blind. I did not know what the fuck am I doing. And I was like, I have it and I'm going to do it. Everyone creates short films alone. That will not stand me out. I will have to make a feature film alone. That is the only way I can stand out. That helped me push through crazy, crazy days. I'm not gonna get, and there were like really crazy days with this project. So yeah, that's what I like. Learn what you can from this. But at the end of the day, if you can execute, you should execute. And then if you're not happy with it, still post it. Even then, if you're not happy with the results, keep at it and then do it again.
I feel when you watch Death to Happiness, there's this one question that pops in your mind, and that is, have you ever completely changed your visual approach because of budget limitations? Which is technically saying, yeah, constraints creating more possibilities for you, constraints creating more creativity for you.
Yes.
Because I feel working with constraints makes you more creative.
Yes, working with constraints is really good. Like, and also, here's the thing. I was kind of the guy who would complain a lot. I was the
Okay.
kind of the guy who would, you can say, judge myself a lot and then put myself down. Instead of letting others do that, I would do that myself. Okay. And then what happened with this project was it allowed me to basically see my own true colors in front of me.
Okay.
Okay. Once I saw those true colors, I was able to work on them. And this is the same thing with that. Okay. If you're struggling with that, if you're not just if you're struggling with any kind of personality thing, okay, first of all, it's okay. Second of all, you have to work on it. And the only way you can work on it is by executing things.
Right.
So that's kind of the thing. Wait, what was the original question? I forgot. Wait.
My question was, have you ever completely changed your approach
Oh
because
shit.
of budget?
Yeah. So the constraint in my movie was that I did not had locations. I kind of had locations in Meghalaya, but then I couldn't have like a props there or like a team there or like lighting there or all that. So what I did, I took shots of the valleys that I loved, and then I converted them in Blender. Like I recreated them in Blender using CGI, and then I put myself in there.
Okay.
What I did not anticipated at the time was that it will allow me to visually fuck up a lot of things and have this like game like feel, or like you can say very different non-realistic approach to
Non-realistic
CGI.
approach.
And this
Right.
non-realistic approach to CGI somehow made sense. I still don't know why. It's not realistic. If you look at my film's CGI, it's not at all realistic.
Realistic.
And the
Right.
thing is, I'm not shying away from it. I did not even know, but I was owning it. That it is not realistic, and look at it.
Right.
And that happened because of constraints. Because I did not had budget to do it on a set, to do it whatever.
What I feel is that constraints, they give you direction. As in the sense, sometimes having too many options, they just confuse you, and you always stay in your comfort zone. I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. I made a short film right now very recently. The name is Scare.
Hmm.
Now, interestingly, the context that we are trying to establish in the movie is that the movie takes place entirely at night.
Hmm.
Now, if I tell you the original reason why I went with a story which is happening at night, was because I was making this movie along managing my college. Now, I'm doing my master's. Yeah. So I am spending like from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening, I'm at my college. I'll come home, and that is why I wrote a story which only had one person. So I told my friend that you're the guy who's going to act. and
Yeah.
we are going to do this all by night. So we used to start by 8 and we used to wrap up by 5:30 in the morning. But again, if I had the option of shooting at daytime, I would have never thought of a story that is only taking place at night.
Exactly.
It gets you an interesting context, and it's only an interesting context if it works at the end, right? But that is what I'm saying. If you don't have constraints, then what happens is that you start thinking in 10 different directions. I can
Yeah.
do this, I can do that, I can do this. Okay, if this doesn't work out, I'll do this. You also have backup.
Yes,
We did not have
exactly.
backup. We don't have any backup. We were like, we have to do this, and we have to do this only at night.
Yeah.
कोई और option नहीं है.
Yeah.
Then we can't even say that, no, I want to sleep. You can't
Yeah.
sleep. You have to
No,
work
you have
all
to.
night.
And,
Exactly.
and the thing is, money doesn't make it easier. I'll tell you. I have small budgets now for my projects, and because of that, I have options now to hire or to put budget in wherever places I can. I can put budget either in production, get an actor, actress, or I
True.
can put the budget in like sound design, music
Yeah,
composing,
post-production.
or post production. So what the fuck should I do? You know? So now I have like this infinite more options instead of doing all of this by myself. But this is the kind of thing that help us grow. Okay.
Right, exactly.
This is the kind of things that help us like find direction, and like just like you said, it is a good thing to have constraints.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that having options is bad or you should not have
No.
options. This is the wrong idea. What I'm trying to say is that even if you don't have options, even if you have a lot of constraints, think what you can actually do within those constraints.
Yes.
That will actually push you.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'll move on to the second part, which is trends in filmmaking and why there is no gate anymore. Here's the thing, guys. Everyone listening, don't give a fuck about what anyone else is doing. And I know this is a very cliche thing, but really, really don't give a fuck. If you feel like someone is a better place, it doesn't matter what that better place is for you. It could be Mumbai for you, it could be Los Angeles for you, it could be Tokyo for you, it doesn't matter. The thing is, you could go in a small village, you can take one character and you can make something about that character, and I promise you, even that will work really well, even if you have zero budget. Why? Because no one cares about anything. The film festivals also, I mean, they are kind of biased, and I have lots of opinions about that, which I'm not going to talk about. But even film festival, if you want to go the film festival route, it's completely okay. You can, and you don't need to think about like winning a film festival or whatever. But if you make anything with whatever you have, and you submit it to a film festival, not all of them, just a few film festivals, so you don't like lose out or like all of your money. If you do that and you gain little bit recognition, you gain little bit connects or networks, that's also really good start. Okay, you don't have to go to a place, you don't have to even like work for someone which you don't even like, or work for projects which you don't feel passionate about, because this is one of the major problems right now. I have a filmmaker friend back in Austin and other filmmaker friends, and they worked with people on set. They got their own money, they got the film funded, they worked with people, and they hated the experience.
Right.
Why? Because the people were not passionate about the project. Okay. And it's completely okay to not have people passionate about the project. Some people come and do their job and that's it. It's completely okay. I'm not completely against it. But what I'm saying is, why were those people there in that passion project? Okay. If they did not like it, if they did not enjoy it, why were they there? You know? So that's what I kind of want people to understand, that if you're not passionate about something, please don't do it. Okay, don't do it to get something from it. If you go with the mentality in anyone's project, okay, and I'll tell you this, if you go with the mentality that you want something from it, that is a very bad mentality for you, not for the person making the thing. Why? Because then you start to feel this kind of barrier within yourself. Why? Because you want things. You want things to be done for you. You want things to be done just like that. And it doesn't happen. If you're not passionate about, let's say, editing, but you are made to edit a project, and then you like it, it's okay. But then you are made to edit a project and you're hating every single second of it, the project is suffering, you are suffering, and then the end person is also going to suffer.
Right.
And why people do this is something I understand. People want to get in. People think that all of this industry, all the people with like all these followers, or all the people who go to these places, these like awards or whatever, all these people have something that we don't. All these people have these things that we don't have, that we cannot have. These kinds of thoughts are hurting you, because right now where film is going is that even the people in really big places, they are tired of those places, because those places are filled with masked people. That's the reality, because these are the kinds of people who have reached to that point, and they still have that mentality that they want something from other people. They want something from other filmmakers, they want something from that, or they want something from producers. Instead of, I'm not saying we have like an altruistic mindset of just giving everything or just be of service to people. I'm not saying that. But if you don't have passion for something, don't do it. It's completely okay to not know what your passion is. You can find your passion, but and it's okay to like force yourself to do things in a few projects. It's completely okay. But once you know that this is something that I don't feel connected to, eliminate it. Start elimination method, and that will help you find the direction, that will give you your compass, that will give you your own principles, that will guide you through life, and you won't feel empty, you won't feel anything bad even if you reach levels of success or whatever, and you won't be constantly grabbing at things, you know.
This reminds me of something. A lot of young filmmakers, specifically of our age, there is this dilemma. While as even as a director, there is this dilemma when you are hiring someone to work with you. I'll give you an example. People have this dilemma between if we should go with someone who is very good at their job, or we should go with someone who's very, very genuine to it, who has the passion for it. Let's say I take an actor who is extremely talented, but he is not very good with schedule. He is someone who comes late. He's going to give me stress. So should I hire someone like that, or should I take someone who's actually going to give us 100% to the project?
I would say prioritize. Okay, so here's the thing. Project also comes first. Okay, and the thing is, there cannot be reform unless people like start to individually work on themselves, and we cannot expect them from like doing that. So what I suggest, or what I kind of think is, have like this balance of people who are really good at their job, okay, and people who are not, but they are really good collaborators. Have a balance. Don't just weigh one skill to other or other. What having a
True.
balance will do is, one will fill the gap of the not a gap, but one will like basically balance out the other in a really good way. So if you have one actor, or not, let's just not say any collaborator. If you have one collaborator who is not able to perform, who is performing really well, but who is not able to be a good cooperative person, it's okay. If you have, with that, if you have like 5 to 7 more people who are with you, by your side, and you can trust, then it just balances out. And I believe that having a crew of people that are equally invested into the project is a very extremely rare thing. I have learned that by watching a lot of behind the scenes bloopers, interviews, and stuff. Sopranos was the only TV show where
Right.
everyone, every single person of the crew was equally invested and had equal trust with each other, because they say that it doesn't matter what interview they are in, whether they are alone with someone or whatever, or even in a group, you can see that they were actually a family. Okay, there might be a lot of PR behind it, but that is the only TV show, literally the
Right.
only TV show with such good interviews. And those interviews tell you a lot about how that TV show was made, you know.
Right.
And that's why I literally ask anyone I meet, any filmmaker or any beginner, or it doesn't matter who, I ask them to see bloopers, behind the scenes, and interviews, not just for entertainment. Don't just look at it as entertainment, but look at how they are collaborating, how they talk about each other, what you can learn from it, how you can be that person that others might want to talk about. It doesn't matter what your job role is, or what you are doing, or in the film, or whatever, but then how can you be, irrespective of the other people, how can you just be a pleasant person? And you only know that, you cannot know that by reading books, or like like watching other filmmakers like work films. No, you learn that by either being on set with real work or whatever real, or you just go through YouTube. There's lots of content out there, dude. And it also helped me to work on Chrysalis Within, which was my short film, to be a good collaborator. And I was not
Right.
like, I wanted to be a good collaborator. If I believe I can be a good collaborator, if other people are not, it's okay. Thankfully, the three people crew that I had, like the actress and the behind the scenes guy, Krish, we all were in sync. Okay.
Right.
And that felt really good. And if something did not work out, a location did not work out, which happened a lot, I was
Yeah.
also chill. And because I was chill, everyone else was also chill, because it happens.
It
Right.
happens.
So
You set an environment. Also, I feel you shot the film in 3 days, right? Under 3 days.
in under 3 days, like I wrote, shot, and did everything within 3 days.
Within 3 days. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I get it.
It was
You need
fucked
to
up, dude.
chill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Coming back to your topic.
yeah. So like this, and yeah, wait, I'm looking at my notepad. Yeah. So this is like kind of the thing which all of us are kind of struggling with, that we have a level of dream that we want to achieve. Someone probably wants to be me. Okay, someone probably wants to be like this guy who made an entire film alone and who is like now working on so many projects or whatever. Someone probably wants to be me. I wanted to be me 4 years ago. Okay, so that's the thing. And now and now I kind of want to basically be someone else. So all these levels kind of things, it's okay to have, but don't base your life around it, and don't like judge other people from it also. I used to do that. I personally used to do that. Okay, that this guy is at that level. Holy shit, I don't think I can reach that level. This is also judgment, by the way, because I'm judging that person based on the level that they show. And
Right.
I will also do the same thing opposite, because if you have inferiority complex, you also have superiority complex.
Right.
Okay, that psychology says. Okay.
True.
Yeah.
True. What we can do is, I think we can start with the Q&A question.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we can start with that because I think few people might want to leave. So Jesper is asking this question: how do you create an idea and make it original when most tropes are now cliche and done many times? How to turn something cliche into something original? I'm asking as a game developer working on narrative. I'm looking to deliver a good story to make the players feel something deep.
Okay, dude. Thank you so much for that question. Why? Because I love games. Games are one of my source of core inspiration, and I actually made 2-3 games back in college using Unity. Lots of stuff. That's also something I like struggled with. So idea. Okay, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but then I talked about this like column kind of thing, this table, where in the first column you write entities. It doesn't matter what that kind of entity is. It could be a concept, it could be a living thing, it could be a non-living thing. It doesn't matter what. It's an entity. And in the second column, you write traits or personalities or anything that is human. Okay. Again, it doesn't need to be a human. It needs to just like feel like a human. And then in the third column, you try to find a relationship between two where the human kind of thing either really loves or really hates that entity. Just has a strong emotion to it. It doesn't even need to be direct. Okay. And what that does is, even if you are writing a trope in an entity, even if you're writing a trope in a character format, doesn't matter. If you're combining this stuff here and there, if you combine multiple different tropes and you execute it in a unique format, or not even a unique format, let's say you execute it in a way that combines multiple different games. Let's say you make a Silent Hill kind of game, okay, which combines jump scare elements from Outlast, and also it combines the time rewind mechanic of Life is Strange with consequences and choices. What would that be like? Okay,
Right.
this is something I thought of right in my head, because these are the games that I love, and this is how you kind of approach originality. Originality is kind of like this horizon. This is like singularity. You can only think of approaching it, but you might never approach it, and that's completely okay. Okay, you can just try to combine and play with so many different ideas, and like just so many different like you can see, it's like kind of like a smoothie. you are putting in different ingredients that probably don't belong together, but once they turn into a smoothie, it tastes really fucking good. You know, that kind of mentality. So this is something I am also personally doing with my own projects. That this is how I got the idea of a guy being friends with a tornado, and how it like signifies, depression. It signifies a toxic relationship. So many things which people can just project onto the story. But this is how I got that idea from. I don't know. I haven't researched. I don't know if there are other filmmakers who have made exactly things like this, where a guy is friends with a tornado. But I believe it is executed in a way which is different, because it combines the old school black and white film aesthetic with slight modern filmmaking techniques, which is CGI and stuff like that. And also,
Right.
yeah. So that is what I recommend. I mean, I hope it helps.
Okay. I think all of you can put your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand if you want to talk to him directly.
Yeah.
Right. We have one more question. It says, "What's the smallest change that made one of your scripts 10 times better?"
Ooh. Okay. Uh, okay. For me, I am a visual person. Okay. So sometimes when I wrote something and it's done, and I get a visual idea which I believe does justice to the character, plot, or even the theme, it doesn't matter what. So sometimes I don't even follow plots, but whatever it is, if I get a visual that has stuck in my mind, I would somehow find a way to add it into the script itself. Okay.
Okay.
And that what happens it what happens is it starts a chain reaction, and it ends up changing the script in some way. Okay.
Right.
Because then what you begin to do is you start, once you get one visualization, you get two, you get three, you get four, and then the entire
Yeah.
story is formed in your head. That's the case with me. I don't know, it could be different for other people. Someone might get this dialogue that they just cannot get out of their head, and that they really want the character to speak. For example, it's a dialogue about their dog being like dead, but then in the story the dog doesn't die. So what the fuck can they do? So this is something like you can implement. Once you implement, that completely changes your script, or even the idea itself. Like Chrysalis within my story was not originally intended to be a metaphor of metamorphosis. it was
Yeah.
it was originally going to be just a story about the woman suffering and tormented by herself. It was very different. But then, while we were shooting on the third day, we found a dead butterfly, okay, on the ground. And
Okay.
that was the spark in my head that this is what the title is going to be like, Chrysalis. I don't know
Chris.
why, but that is how I got the idea. And then that changed my a lot of, you can say, editing process, because I have already shot 2 days worth of content, right, of the film. Now the third day I cannot change that much. So what I can do is I can play around here and there, and that's what I did basically. And that's how that film turned out like that.
Okay. Okay, we have another question. It's asking, at what point does a metaphor become too obvious?
Oh, this is kind of controversial, I believe. But the thing is, I don't think, well, the only way I believe a metaphor becomes too obvious is a character literally says it. Okay.
Okay.
If a character says it through dialogue, it's dead in the waters. It's gone, I believe. Because then it becomes exposition.
Okay.
Metaphor, basically, if there's an element of metaphor in the story where there's, for example, a boy is struggling to fly a kite, and at the same
Okay.
time at home he's unable to like speak out his needs in front of his parents. Maybe he gets abused, maybe he struggles with lots of things, maybe he's pressured by lots of things, and the kite is the only thing that keeps him afloat. Okay. And this is the idea that I literally got right now. Okay. So by the end of the movie, he finally is able to fly that kite, okay, with one single hand. But then if he says at the end, imagine him saying that this kite has made me free, it would feel so bad if you think about it. It might
Yeah.
feel good if the delivery is good, but then at the same time, it would just put the audience completely away from the movie, because they could feel the kite. They could already feel the importance of the kite in the story, because they have seen it for like 2 hours. They have already seen the character struggle with it for 1 hour. Doesn't matter. They've seen it, so they know the value. And then if you say it, then you're basically saying to the audience that you probably don't understand. That's why I have to say it. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Sachin is asking a question. When directing non-professional actors, how do you create authenticity without making performances feel rehearsed?
Lots of takes. That's what I did in Chrysalis with them. I did lots of takes. To the
Okay, but
point.
do you think it gets way too frustrating for the
Yes,
actor?
it does. And that's why I like just communicate with them with empathy. I already tell them that it's not working. And I don't say that it's not working, bro, this is shit. No. I just
Right.
say, like, for the story. Like, I think it doesn't make sense. Can we try this? Can we try this? Can we try this? Are you okay with it? Are you okay with trying multiple different takes? Are you okay with me trying multiple different angles? If you're okay with it, we can do it. Ask. It's okay. But sometimes that's the best way. David Fincher does it with professional actors, dude.
Because
100 takes.
also the thing is that you are a very visual guy, right? Not everyone is visual.
Hmm.
If you look at it, you are someone who's very very visual. So how do you connect? How do you make the actor feel what you're feeling?
So that's not the job. I don't want them to feel what I feel. I want them to feel what the character feels. Okay,
Right.
that's the focus. And even if they are not able to directly nail it, instead of telling them directly what to do, like do this, do angry, no, that's like those are bad notes according to me. Why? Because those notes are telling you what to do instead of showing you, making you empathize, making you feel. So in Chrysalis Within, when I was talking with Miss Leila, who was the actress, we had in between takes like 10-minute conversations where
Hmm.
we were just talking about the character. And that in and of itself just helped her feel relatively close to the character. That just made it obviously not ideal, but then it is a good way to go about it. I believe it is a good way to just make someone empathize first, and then you also empathize with them that okay, this person is struggling with it. It's okay. It's my job to help them. Now, let me try to find the best possible method without getting angry, frustrated, whatever. Just direct approach.
Right. Okay, there's another question. How do you decide the visual tone of a project? Many films have distinguishable colors, fonts, shot styles, and more, and it usually fits the theme. So, how do you choose what's best when there's so many options?
Okay, so again, this is something that comes around scripting, pre-production kind of thing. What you do is you prepare a collection of images. You can call it a mood board. I don't like to call it a mood board because it just I don't know. I don't like to call it, but it is a mood board. But then what you do is you just collect pictures or videos because or even like stickers or gifs or like anything. You just collect them and you collect them at a place where you can just look at it again and again while you are writing the script, while you are writing the short list, while you're writing all that. What happens is instead of being like this strong method driven person that I need this method, whatever, you become more instinctual by all your inspirations instead of following the exact inspiration like I want Tarantino, I want Wes Anderson, I want that. No, instead of doing all that, you are just letting your brain go in that mind space and stay in that mind space without attaching itself to any particular object, not attaching itself to like a particular visual style, not attaching itself to anything. And then what happens is while you're editing, while you're in post production, while you're even shooting, you start to see new things because you allowed your mind to connect separate completely different neurons because you're not attached to a particular neuron or an idea, you know.
Right.
So that helps. And also experimentation, another thing. Like what I would do for like fonts and all that, I would just go to 1001 fonts where you can get like free commercial fonts, and I would just go through the list. I would just go through it, and you can type a word there and then it will show that word in all those particular fonts, so you can just
Right.
type any word related to your script. That also kind of weirdly helps you put yourself into that visual mood, you know. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay, there's another question. Do you guys feel that the early mainstream cinema, like 2000 to 2016, has that colors and more soul, alive feel in it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Honestly, yes. Currently, color grading is shit. Currently, most of the digital, uh, basically the workflow is very shit. I believe most filmmakers probably will hate me for that, but that's what I believe. Why? Because it's made to be optimized for every device. That's the thing.
Right.
And films back around 2000 and all that, they were shot on films. I'm not saying films are better than digital or whatever. It's just a different medium, but they were shot on films to be shown in theaters. They had a
Right.
place to go. They had a home before the film was already shot. Right now, the movies are like these orphan kids with like foster homes. One home is like a TikTok reel. One home is like this Facebook like square post. One is like LinkedIn or whatever. I don't not LinkedIn, but whatever. All these different places, which I believe it's. I mean, with times change, you have to change. But for the soul aspect, this is kind of like a people problem. People don't make projects with empathy in them. Okay, because the current fast paced climate, it really stops you from like just being in the moment with the person in front of you. Most of us can't, because we are constantly thinking, constantly comparing. We are on our phones, and it has become so normalized that we don't even think there's any alternative to this, you know. And this is also why I am also trying to reform myself. I also try to like really work on thinking about other person, but not too much, but like just in a way that helps me be present. And if I'm on
Right.
set, if I'm working on with someone, if I'm just present with them with the story, imagine how beautiful the conversation could be and the final project. So yeah.
Okay,
Next.
I think we have a technical question.
Yeah.
It says, when a film continuously jumps between past and present, how do we make the transition feel like one fluid motion without using text or blurry dissolves?
Oh, okay. So this could be, well, this depends on your script. If you write only actions, okay, then there must be certain actions that the character can only do in the past because they have grown from that and no longer do in the present. Maybe a habit like smoking. In the present, they no longer smoke. They have actively worked on completely like removing smoking as their habit, and they are getting better at it. But then in the past, they constantly smoke. So every time there's a past scene, they don't need to be smoking all the time, but they might have cigarettes around them. That is a very beautiful way to just show and don't tell people that this is the past, by showing through actions. And that's also what I believe, actions are superior than dialogues, because dialogues will tell you this is the past. You can try, you can also show past through dialogues by having a conversation between, let's say, parents and child in the past, and then in the current landscape an adult with like an older parent. But it's so cliche, it's so trope, you know and instead of that, what I believe is, make your character have a tick or a quirk or anything that's inherently theirs and that changes between time zones or the timelines, whatever. You can even go up a level and like make it a sci-fi and they might have like a third segment, a third world where they are in a completely different world and they're vaping which is a dystopian world. Just a random idea, but yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, there's another question and it says, okay, this is a big one. How do you prevent symbolism from becoming intellectual decoration rather than meaningful storytelling?
Oh shit, dude, I know. So here's the thing, I love symbolism, okay, and to the point that even if it's decorative in my work, I don't think it is, but even if it is, I don't mind it. Because here's the thing, there are filmmakers who make really meaningful stories with like really, really grounded elements, and that's their, you can say, thing. It doesn't need to be yours. Just because something is like, you can say, someone's really good work or someone's identity, you can play around with your identity. Okay, like I am doing right now. I play with surrealism, I play with symbolism, but I also like grounded stories. I love grounded stories. But there's a part of me that just wants a part of symbolism. There's part of surrealism in the stories. Why? Because I honestly believe the world is shit. Okay. And people don't confront things head on. So why not just give them subliminal messages? you know. That's like kind of my thinking. But again, I could like completely evolve into something else, or I might just go deep into surrealism. But you don't need to be anyone other than you. If you like
Right.
meaningful stories, make meaningful stories. If you like symbolism, surrealism, make symbolism and surrealism. Maybe, who knows, you are probably a video art creator, and maybe your work goes into like these art house film festivals, and that's okay. You don't need to go to mainstream because everyone does. You don't know your career path. Maybe because art house filmmakers were hired by lots of brands to completely change their identities in the past too. PlayStation hired
True.
David Lynch, and he created a
True.
PlayStation ad which was completely surreal, completely out of the world, dude. Not even related to games, and he did not even know what PlayStation was while he was shooting it. Okay, so that's the thing. You do you kind of philosophy.
Right. Okay, this is a big question. Hi Dhruv, Jairaj here. My question is, of course, there are different factors too, but I think that for me, the core factor for a particular scene at writing stage, which builds curiosity, is in the viewer's mind, is great exposition and dialogues. For my script, which I've written and I want to pull it off perfectly without going into info dump, what's the one factor for writing or shooting a scene where you think you have pulled it off perfectly? Basically, he's asking you, what's that one scene where you think you have pulled it off perfectly?
My again, I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit, but I believe actions are the best thing. Okay, what a character does, because exposition is basically info dump if you say it through dialogues, you know. But there is a way, and people do that. I don't do it because I'm not like well versed in it, so I'm trying to be really good at it. But there are filmmakers who have done exposition through action. Okay, pure action. You can go see Quiet Place. Look at the exposition of Quiet Place. In the script itself, they show it in the beginning how that little kid is dragged away by that creature just because of that toy. Okay, it was shown, the world was shown through that action. They did not had like a monologue, they did not had like a big news stuff running in behind, whatever. No, it was just a father, mother, and two kids, and one kid is just taken away by that creature. That's it.
Right.
So yeah.
Very true. Okay, there's so many questions. What's your guys' take on art house cinema and old ones? Slow burn writings and still camera sequences like 2 to 3 minutes.
This reminds me of David Lynch, dude. Okay, so I'll be fully honest. Sometimes I dread it. Okay, sometimes when I'm not
Why
in the
so? But like, why so?
mood of like just, you can say, very slow paced artistic cinema, and I happen to watch it without knowing that it was artistic cinema, because I go blind in a lot of movies. I don't even watch trailers, synopsis, or whatever. So just visuals. I just look at visuals, and then I feel like, okay, it's dragging. I do not like it. But here's the thing. But here's the thing. I believe without all that, without people being daring and bold to just fuck everyone off and do whatever they want, without those people, cinema wouldn't be where it is now.
Right.
Okay, most of the things that we praise now were bold decisions by filmmakers of the past that were considered artistic at one point, that were considered way too out there, who does that kind of thing. If you
Right.
look at like black and white, the era, and then you compare it with the color era, there's like a, you can say, kind of a distinction. In black and white era, things were theatrical little bit
Yeah.
because they were inspired from theaters, and everyone
Yeah.
thought theaters are the prime thing, right? And
True.
then in color part, when the films became color and everything, dialogues became naturalistic. Dialogues began to had a little bit of tonality, little bit of more personality. Instead of exaggeration, they became more of a nuanced, like singing, in a way. And then these clear distinction, if you think about it, someone did this first, and then what would have thought of it as a very bold thing to do, an artistic thing to do. Who does that? So
Right.
I like it. But when I'm not in the mood, I want to watch a grounded film, and I happen to watch something that's like way too long, 2-3 minutes long. I'm like, I don't want to watch that right now. So Yeah, I that answered the question, right? I'm not sure.
I mean, yeah, you guys can say if you guys are satisfied with the answers.
Yeah, I can
That's
ramble
very
on, dude.
important as well.
I just
That,
ramble on.
that is very important.
Yeah.
Okay, Akshay is saying, "Hey Dhruv sir, congratulations on making the first feature film. I would like to talk about that everyone nowadays wants to find unique things, but I think that is not necessary. Like the human themes are the same: grief, joy, etc. The unique thing is how one person collects and puts this together. Like if we give a story of two birds to 10 people, everyone will write differently.
Yeah.
I am working on an epic duology saga, so I believe it's not unique but inspired from many things. Influenced are always there, but what we can do, I guess. Wanna know your views on guidance? I think I've talked about
I
this,
already talked
right?
about this. Like, basically, here's the thing. I also believe the same, dude. I literally believe the same. If you take a very basic idea, which I talked about, like a guy not being able to get his newspaper, very basic idea, everyone knows. But if you execute it in a way that no one has seen yet, or if you execute it in a way by combining so many different things that no one has combined yet, you have your winner. That's the thing. Yeah.
As they say, there's nothing new under the sun, right? It
Yeah.
depends on how you want to show it.
Exactly. Or what you combine. You can even combine like
What do you come?
crazy things.
Okay, there's also this question. I always struggle in writing second act of any films. I always have a start and end of the film very clear, but most times I'm clueless in a mid part and keep finding myself going in different directions in act 2. Okay.
Oh, for Act 2, Act 2 is where the character protagonist, if you're following the hero's journey kind of thing, hero's journey arc, which is
Yeah,
a
like the
narrative
like
thing.
story circle, right?
Yeah, story circle, the hero's
Yeah,
journey, who was devised by the guy who made Rick and Morty, Dan Harmon. So
yeah, yeah.
Dan Harmon made the hero's journey, which is basically present in so many different mythologies and any kind of stories. So if you take that and you struggle with Act 2, look at hero's journey. Okay, hero's journey Act 2 probably starts at around like this part. I mean, I'm visualizing it, but
Yeah.
it's basically the part where the character decides to take action towards their dream, towards a new reality, towards whatever.
I mean,
Okay,
there's a sacrifice involved, as in the sense the hero is supposed to leave the home, or he's supposed to sacrifice some
anything.
part. It can be
Yeah,
any entity.
any major event, and that major event, then you can start to think what that major event for this character could be. Now, if the character is someone, let's say, okay, if the character is someone who is blind, okay, no, not blind. I don't know about that, so I'm not going to talk about that. If a character who has spectacles, okay, and there comes a point where he can do a surgery that can fix his eyes permanently, okay, but then he might lose out 3 months of like clear vision, and he has strong deadlines, he has a strong very important things to do. So what will he do, and how will he fight it? That becomes Act 2. Okay, and then based on what your Act 1 was, like you can combine it in Act 3 in that way, but it depends on what
And
kind of narrative tool you
I
are
think
using.
I
Yeah.
think I think this sets up a very strong action code, because every action has a cause, right?
Hmm.
So once the context is established, then you can also implement the cause and effect. Okay.
Yeah.
We have another question. When do you decide to tell the audience something, and when do you trust them to discover it? Okay.
I'm not the guy to ask this question, honestly. I'm the guy, I'm the toxic filmmaker, dude. I am literally the guy who wants audience to literally use their hand to their like maximum. Which is very bad. I get it. So I also help audience in a way. But my stance on this, I believe I am kind of the guy who wants the audience to suffer a little bit. Okay. So because I am that kind of the guy, at least right now, I'm not the best person to ask this question. Because I believe the audience should get the feeling of understanding something at the end. Okay. Because their entire journey from the beginning to the end kind of culminates at the end, right? So I believe ending is one way, or probably one of the final things, where you can just tell the audience directly or through metaphors, whatever you feel like, what the story is about, what it is about. So in my Chrysalis within film, which is very, very wild, not gonna lie, because I went deep in it to make it very crazy. So I showed it in the end, the final 3 seconds, what it is. That's it. And then I
I
leave
mean,
it
it's
up to
actually
you.
a lot happening in those 3 minutes if you talk about it. And the thing is that there are no dialogues. So the film is communicating entirely visually.
Yep.
So you have to understand the visual grammar and all the visual
Yes.
metaphors that are present in the
Yes.
film. Or else, in fact, I don't want to spoil it, otherwise I would have discussed it at length.
Yeah, yeah,
But
no.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
but
should not do
exactly.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
and I know I'm asking too much from the audience with this, but then here's the thing. This is what I like. I want to just be me. Sure, other people are doing really good stuff, but they are really good at that, and they are them. I am me. So this is kind of the mentality.
But I also feel like this, what happens is that then your films have many interpretations among the audience. Because that is the thing, no one knows what's the right answer.
No.
Because,
And
yeah,
I'm never gonna
like the
say
stake,
it.
yeah, I mean the stakes are extremely high. You don't know what the right answer is. Only
Yeah.
only the filmmaker knows.
Yes,
So they
exactly.
have countless assumptions and answers to
Yeah.
the film.
And that is so uncomfortable, and I like that. That it's so uncomfortable.
Okay, there's another question. When do
Yeah.
you know that your actors are actually rendering the scene? Because sometimes on set it looks good, but on editing table it feels very different. Has been there, done that.
Uh, okay, so what my solution to this problem is, I edit together. Every day's work, I edit it together. If it's not good, I reshoot it. That is the only solution, to be honest. Why? Because, see, on set, there's different energy. While editing, there's different energy. So you're looking at it, you're looking at your own work from like two different point of views at the same time, if you think about it. And there needs to be very less gap between these two point of views. If there's like an extended period of gap, then not only it's like hard to schedule, hard to reshoot and everything, but then you become frustrated. You are like, dude, what the fuck, I imagined this, I felt this, and now this is this, what is this? So you get confused. So my solution is literally just that. It's not feasible, but I believe you should do
I mean,
that.
it's not something everyone can do, right? I mean,
No.
editing on this it's very very tough.
Yeah, but my solution, so that's why my approach from my projects for like after my second short film has been like this. I will shoot and edit on the same day.
Damn. Okay, there's another question. Any tips on working on mystery piece? This is niche to the genre of detective who do not, but how do you create a good mystery in terms of good red herring and clues?
Okay, I'm not the guy to ask this question, by the way, but okay, I'm gonna help you here a little bit. Watch neo noir movies and noir black films, especially of the 50s and 60s. And I'll tell you why. The reason is that they understood characters really well. Okay, they executed also in a very different format than what current mystery genre films are doing. Right now, mystery genre films are kind of, I don't enjoy it, to be honest. Okay, I don't enjoy those suspense because I can predict it. Okay, what I want as a viewer is a character who I cannot predict.
Right.
Because if I cannot predict a character, how can I predict a plot? Right now, characters are tropes and predictable across most genres, not even just mystery, across most genres. Okay, Knives Out is, I think, one film that I believe was really good, and I think a few other. I cannot think right now because I don't watch too much mystery or like suspense.
Right.
But here's the thing: if you make characters unpredictable, the plot inherently becomes mysterious. Why? Because you don't know what this character will do. And in mysteries, in suspense, we as audience have gotten so used to predicting stuff, we want to predict stuff and get it right.
True.
Yeah. So, bro, make a character who's unpredictable.
Okay, there's another question, and this one is asking, how do you translate a character's internal thoughts into purely visual storytelling?
Oh, okay. I am kind of your guy for this. What I do is I try to find metaphors. Okay. So in my Chrysalis Within short film, my character was dealing with internal stuff. I'm not going to name what stuff, but internal stuff. And
Yeah.
the most useful trope here is the mirror. Everyone
Right.
knows mirror shows the internal kind of thing, but how can I show it just a little bit different? I used a trope. I'm not lying. It was not original. It was a trope, but I used it in a very slightly different format that allowed me to show that dynamic of the internal and the external.
In fact, I won't reveal it, but to keep it anonymous, the process that you have referred to in the movie, which you have also mentioned a few minutes
Yes,
earlier,
yes,
it resonates with the context that we're talking about, which
yes,
is the internal struggle.
yes,
So
which
you
is the
said
internal
that
struggle.
what
Yeah.
you wanted to show and the process that you have chosen,
Yes.
that resonates very well.
Yes, exactly. And this is what you can also do. Think of metaphors. It doesn't need to be on the face metaphors like a mirror. It can be anything. It can be a habit. It can be you can say, a relationship, a past relationship. It can be a texting style. It depends on how much subtle you want and how much crazy metaphors you want. But that
I
is one
think
way.
I think I think this is where your ideation process really works out well,
Yes.
because it really connects, as in the jigsaw, like the puzzles. It connects very well.
Yeah,
That is what I
exactly.
feel. Because now when you're talking about it and I've seen the movie, I can actually
Yeah,
connect
yeah,
the
you can
dots.
connect. Yeah.
Okay, there's another question saying, I want to explore distinct genres as a filmmaker. Which genre would you like to explore if you get to make a large scale film?
Oh, imagine a surreal rom com. Lots of metaphorical elements between two, basically a love story, but then it's not a love story, it becomes a tragic comedy by the end. This is something, a very crazy idea. It sounds absurd and bizarre, but it's something I kind of want to explore maybe one day.
My my question is, would you advertise it as a rom com?
Yes,
Because again,
I would advertise as a very normal rom-com, and then audience will go inside and fuck their mind.
don't you think it's going to be very, you're going to face a lot of outrage
Yeah,
if you
I
do
will.
that?
I will. But then that's the point. I can't do it. I have free will. you know?
Okay, cool. Okay. There's another question. To build on Sachin's question, how to show a major change in perspective mindset for a character without dialogue? Okay.
Hmm. Oh, that's one I'll have to think. So here's the thing. How do you want to change the perspective? Okay. Is it a growth oriented perspective? Or is it like a, you can say, in the moment perspective? It depends. If it's a growth
Right.
oriented perspective, like it changes the character's growth, then you change the tonality of how the character is visually represented. Okay, now this could be anything. There's like lots of things you can do. But if I were to do that in my film, in my Chrysalis Within short film, I changed the aspect ratios and made it color. When there was a perspective shift, when there was a growth oriented perspective shift. But if it's a subtle perspective shift, you can do very basic like kind of things which most filmmakers do, like a low angle, high angle kind of stuff, in the moment stuff. You can do all that. This is also something you can explore. Most people do that, but I believe it depends on the approach you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There's another question. Do you guys fear AI and the attention span of the audience? Oh,
Okay, honestly, I am a rebel. Okay, I am a through and through rebel. I am a non-conformist. I hate shit. I hate a lot of things. Okay, and I openly admit it. And I don't fear AI. Because here's the thing, it's a vertical. It's not a
right.
wide industry, it's a vertical. It's a small thing that's embedded in multiple different things. And also, at the same time, people lie. A lot of people are lying right now about AI. A lot of people are doing lots of things for AI because of money. I'm not going to pinpoint stuff, but then that's happening. So,
Yeah.
and what I am seeing in filmmakers also, in audiences also, audiences are outright rejecting AI, dude. NSC Film Festival 2026, there was a painter who hand painted every frame of his movie and then combined it using AI. So he did not actually generated anything. But his film was booed so fucking much, people literally went out of the theater in protest. Like audiences at that stage are not accepting. So think about it. Audiences at that stage are not accepting that affluent stage. Then what's the point? Then people are going to get discouraged, and only places where AI is kind of acceptable right now is AI film festivals, right? Or film
Right.
festivals who are gearing towards AI for funding because they are dying. And I sympathize and empathize with that. I get it. I don't blame them for it. I don't hate them for it because they don't follow my, opinions or whatever. I understand it. But just to understand something doesn't mean you accept it, doesn't mean you have to accept it. You can question it. And audiences are constantly questioning. Audiences are actively trying to find behind the scenes stuff. Audiences are going to theaters from creators who have built their audiences online. Curry Barker, Kane Parsons, so many people. Why does this format work? Because audiences can now trust people. That's why I'm building my audience. My audience can trust me. Like, this dude doesn't sugarcoat stuff, and he hates AI. So why will he make AI stuff? And I don't.
True.
So, and that's why I believe, if you guys, anyone wants to literally do anything, whether in game development, filmmaking, or whatever, you need to build audience. You need to build trust now. And the best way to do it, show what you're working on. That's it.
Very true. I mean, however, the attention span is quite concerning.
Oh, attention span. Here's the thing. Like, there are people who are actively going back to like 90s, 80s flip phones. There is a growing demand of that. There is a growing demand of people who are literally turning off social media, so are deleting their accounts. I have 3 friends who have kind of deleted their social media accounts, bro, from all the places. Okay, so there is fatigue. Short attention span is there, but then there is also growing fatigue. And because there are still films in theaters earning lots of money, that means there are still people out there who are willing to sit 2 to 3 hours for a movie. Because those films are making money. How are they making money? Because people pay and sit. So I don't believe in the dystopian world kind of thing. I believe it's not also utopian, but then it's neutral.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now we'll be only taking the questions which have been sent. We won't be taking any more questions now.
Yeah.
There's also this one. Do you think the thriller genre is one where the writing is superior, like as a superior genre, in terms of writing? He's asking.
In terms of writing, really good writing takes anything from generic to superior at the end of the day. Okay, writing is one of the key ingredients. Writing is something that helps, especially if it's a grounded story. If you are making a grounded story, you need to write it really well. You cannot just be like, I'm playing around with like metaphors and whatever. No, first you have to write really good characters, and only then you can add subtle metaphors that filmmakers and cinephiles can identify, but not the general audience, because they don't need to. Okay, so thriller genre, any genre, it doesn't matter. And that's why I tell people to watch stuff across all genres, even stuff they haven't watched, even stuff they hate, but watch. Watch what is good writing if you want to make grounded stories, and watch what are good visual metaphors if you want to make artistic or like video art or art house films. But then watch those stuff as much as you can. Anything superior, anything generic, the only difference is basically how they are executed, because a really well written show but executed poorly flops. Okay, it has been done, but then a really good show with really decent writing, decent actors, decent a lot of things can work really well. Game of Thrones, why it worked? Because the source material was really good, and then it became shit from 7th and 8th. And no, you cannot argue with me on that. Okay. But then the source material was good, the writing was really good, the world was already established, and it was a grounded story.
That is what scares me. Dune 3 is coming this year.
Exactly.
And yeah, exactly. That is what scares me.
That's why,
We
dude.
don't know what's coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's already so much hype, and now we don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Last potential question. I
Yeah.
totally agree on your action lines response. I have implemented it. Which filmmaker do you consider the most exceptional visual storyteller?
Eh. Oh, okay. Fuck. This was a loaded question, dude. Because I have so many.
Still, if you have to name one, there's going to be some bias, but yeah, if you have to name one.
I don't know, man. I don't think I can name one, because here's the thing, like, visuals are something that every director and every filmmaker has so distinct style with it, and the distinctness is something that I really love. I don't put them one on top of each other, because, like, if you think about it, Dunes, visual style is not
Yeah,
superior to Wes Anderson's visual style. They are both completely different, right?
exactly.
But if I were to say, I would, I think I would say Andrei Tarkovsky a little bit. Okay, I wouldn't say top tier or like better than everyone, but it is the one name that literally popped in my head the moment I heard that question. Okay, I cannot
And
like,
why?
I don't know, like I think even though there is nothing like extremely distinct or like extremely crazy, but the way his visuals are kind of cohesive and they form an identity of some sort, I think that's something that I think I like. But again, this is not a conscious answer. This is literally the first name that popped in my head. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I don't put anyone on top of each other. Most of them are just separate entities. So yeah.
Okay, Sachin is saying in recent years, many independent filmmakers have been drawn to classics, vintage, and nostalgic aesthetics in both their visual style and execution. Sometimes these elements genuinely enhance the story, but other times they feel forced, as if they're being used simply to impress the audience rather than serve the narrative. How do you distinguish between meaningful artistic choices and stylistic indulgence? What principles do you follow to ensure that nostalgia and visual aesthetics support the story instead of distracting from it?
Okay, so I have lots of thoughts about that, but I'm not going to go deep into it. But here's the thing, like when we are making something, okay, we have a certain rhythm and a certain direction which gradually changes. Okay, and you see it in a movie. The movie feels cohesive, but if you really try to reverse engineer little things, you can see how it evolved from probably the first shot, not the first shot in the movie, but the first shot they actually shot in the movie. You know, the timeline is different. Maybe the last shot is the first shot, but these kind of things you can just kind of subconsciously feel. Now, this gradual change is because of instincts, I believe. The instincts develop more and more as the collaboration progresses. But if you want to sell something, then you hook onto a single concept throughout your project, which sometimes work and sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes people want to just do nostalgia for nostalgia bait. Okay, sometimes people want nostalgia because of the character. I don't know how many people have watched Severance here, but in Severance there is a segment where they used real film cameras from the 80s to pull off a segment. It
Yeah.
was a memory kind of segment, but that worked so well. You feel the goosebumps little bit inside you. Why? Because you know that these shots, these handheld vintage aesthetic VHS shots, are there because the characters wanted that, because the characters shot it. And that felt so good. It was so different from the rest of the series. But that one small segment, it just stands out so well, you know? So that works there. Maybe, but that was not there, done there because of nostalgia bait. No, that was done there to show an artistic, like you can say, mission behind that, to make people feel
Right.
nostalgia. So the nostalgia bait, even if there was, it helped enhance the storytelling. So yeah, I mean, I hope that answers your question. Kind of instincts.
True. He's got another question asking, I'm currently working on this discovery project, which is in pre production. The
Mhm.
production team is planning to use AI in the project, mainly for generating still images and recreating footage from historical periods. They told me they're choosing generative AI instead of CGI to reduce the VFX budget. From a filmmaking perspective, do you think this is the right approach? Where should filmmakers draw the line between using AI as a production tool and relying on it as a creative shortcut?
Okay, so here's the thing. I am anti-AI, dude, through and through. Okay. So for me, I have a closed mindset. I'm not going to say I have an open mindset about it. Why? Because I believe that, like, so see, I will give you an example. I recently hired an illustrator who like paints on paper. Okay. And like really old parchment paper. Now, his style is really good, distinct, but it is, I know, easily replicable by AI. But I wanted to work with that artist. Why? Because I wanted to understand his style. And the thing that I basically gave him to do, it is kind of an interpretative thing. So I wanted his interpretation. And because he's human, his interpretation would be really crazy. His interpretation would actually be an interpretation. Okay, in your context, it's historical things, it's all that, so you need accuracy. Because of that, it's a filmmaker's responsibility to show things as accurately as possible. Okay, that means having a human element in there who knows what they are doing. Okay, sure, you can generate stuff and then hire researchers to look at it, but even then, what do you think a researcher would feel if they see an AI generated stuff of something from the past that they literally worship? That they study, that they have spent years studying. Even if they do the job, are they going to do a good job at it? So that's those kind of things. I don't believe, especially if you're talking about something historic, if you're talking about something that has people attached, that has other people's emotions attached, and if you're using AI to manipulate it, I believe that you are not thinking about people at all. You are not thinking about audiences at all. I make films that are not grounded in reality in some way. So I can do whatever the fuck I want. And even then, I won't choose AI. Why? Because it's just fun to make interpretative stuff. But you are doing something that's grounded in reality. Okay. Real things that have happened, real things that have been made, that has history, that has value. And instead of using artists that might be local in that place and might be cheap, that people who make art, like for example in Egypt or even in India, anywhere, people who local tribal people or local people who make art because of their own passion, you could hire them.
Right.
So that's what, and you don't even need CGI for that. Why just think CGI? That is what shows me that the filmmakers are not that creative. Why not just show paintings made by those people? You could do that. Why not just show works created by those people? Why just do the things that other people are doing? So that's my
True.
stance.
Okay, there's one question I think which we missed, and it's from Divyansh. It says, "Can you suggest books, shows, anime, games, movies for filmmaking, writing, visual learning of core to it?" Okay.
Dude, okay. I will do one each. Okay, one each. Anime, watch Serial Experiments Lane if you haven't. Okay, Serial Experiments Lane. That's one anime I believe you should watch. It will be very hard watch. It will not be a pleasant watch, but watch it. Trust me, just watch it. It will do something with your neurons. Second, a book. Okay, so I have a few books. I don't know which one to recommend because I don't know at what stage you are in, but there is a book, Film Production Handbook, which goes through the entire film production process from the beginning to end in a really concise, brief manner. If you are someone who haven't done like film school or whatever, because I haven't, that is the book where I learned everything from. Film Production Handbook. Like I have it there, I think here somewhere, but Film Production Handbook, it's pretty good. That's one book, one anime, one game. Play Near Automata. Okay, there are five endings to that game.
What's the name? Near Automata.
Near Automata. Play that. Please go blind. Don't watch anything. Don't do anything. Just go blind and play it in Japanese. Okay, like with English subtitles. Trust me on this. It might be the worst experience of your life or the best experience of your life. Nothing in between. But it is worth it for you as a storyteller, for you as a filmmaker, because the elements in it, the way it plays with narrative, the way it plays with character dialogues, I have not seen anything like that. So these were the three things, right? I think anime, books, and movie also, right? Movie is hard, dude. Movie is really hard. Okay, one movie on the top of my head I would recommend. Wait, let me check. If you're a visual person, if you want to watch movies just for the visuals, to understand just visual kind of thing, you can watch The Holy Mountain, but don't at me at it, okay? Like, you can watch Holy Mountain.
What's the name? Holy Mountain.
The Holy Mountain. Very crazy movie. Not for everyone. And you can close it if you don't feel like watching it, but kind of a crazy trip, that I would say, visual trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a fantasy and adventure, it seems. Yeah, probably the. Okay, I get it. Yeah, this is the movie. It's very surreal. I think this is the one you're talking about.
Visual, right? Yeah, very visual movie.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess we'll end it here.
Yeah, bro. I think I'm tired.
So much. Thank you so much, Dhruv,
Yeah.
and thank you so much everyone for joining and asking
Thank
so many
you.
questions. I think we all had a lovely time,
Yeah.
and I hope you enjoyed. I hope it wasn't boring for you. I think we
Yeah,
had a
me
great.
too. I think you guys enjoyed, bro. I hope.
No, no, no. I think we really enjoyed, and thank you so much, Rahul, Sachin, and MFC for taking this initiative.
Yeah, thank you so
Wasn't
much.
possible for you guys.
Thank
Wasn't
you so
possible
much,
without you
guys, for
guys.
like messaging me and like reaching out to me. I usually don't watch messages a lot because there are like lots of fucked up messages also. But thankfully, I watched your message and I was like, dude, I need this. But yeah.